Good morning. Welcome to Your Voice Matters TV with Di Riddell. Today, I'm going to be speaking about a subject that's close to my heart and a very serious one. It's about sexual assault in high places and other places as well. Sexual control, power plays, they've been in existence for centuries. But what have we learned? It would appear from recent events, not very much. Education hasn't worked. A gazillion amount of dollars being thrown at it hasn't worked. And it would appear that even talking about it hasn't worked. It's been brought to light because of Brittany's coming forward, the young lady who's got the sexual assault charge coming up against a parliamentarian. Now, can you imagine what she's been through? Can you imagine the courage and the inner strength that she's needed to come up and step forward? Why is it that a young lady would be feeling that way, feeling that she might lose her job, feeling that she was going to be judged, ridiculed, told it was party antics, get over it? Those days are gone. And yet, here it is happening in the highest of our places, in our Parliament House. That's really a shocking review of our Australian society. But I'm not here about poking and laying blame. I'm here because I care about women who have been affected by rape and sexual assault and feel they don't have a voice to be able to step up and speak up to tell their story and speak their truth with power. Young women who've been affected by sexual assault feel downtrodden. They feel overwhelmed. They feel that they're less than. And when they're being continually ground down like that, what happens is that they get to feel that they're responsible, that it's their fault. And when the actual sexual attacks stop, they replay that and they get that mindset. And that's why women attract like partners, continually violent partners, until they're prepared to have the courage to stand up and say no more. It's time for me. It's time for me to stop and look after me. I'm worthy. What I've got to say is important and I'm valuable. It took me decades to be able to say those words and have true meaning behind them. But I've got it there now. When I was a victim of pack rape in the 1960s and a pregnancy and an adoption followed. Now, back then I would never have reported it. The fear of going to the police and being ridiculed and put down and being told that was just too much for a young teen for me to bear, apart from the fact I was ostracised from my family as well. That was just part of the deal. It's how society was, and we can't put today's values on yesterday's actions. Back then, that's how it was. But it doesn't have to stay like that. We can and do and have things available today that weren't available to us 40 and 50 years ago. But that fear has not gone away. That fear of reporting, it's invasive, it's intrusive, it's embarrassing, it's scary, because the woman still feels that she's not going to be believed. But let's look on the other side. Let's look at the men. Have men become so disempowered over the last number of years that they feel that they have to exercise their power by abuse? It's a sad world if that's true. So what can we really do? What difference can we make? Because when I look at it, when I said a moment ago that when an abuser stops abusing, quite often a woman will continue to self-abuse and not even realise that she's doing it. So let's look at it like this. When something happens, when you're abused, raped, the shame factor comes in big time. Shame, shame, shame. I did something bad. And then the guilt comes in. I did something bad, therefore I must be bad. And then the condemnation comes in and says, I must be punished. So a woman can continue to punish herself for the perceived acts of a rapist. Now, it took me decades to learn this. And it was 43 years after I was raped that I suddenly realised they took one night of my life and I allowed them space, rental room in my head for the next 43 years. Did that serve me? No. Do you think they're sitting around saying, oh, remember what we did to that girl way back? I don't think so. It was up to me to have the courage and the strength to make changes in my life and in my mindset. Where can we start to help people who are in that situation? And it can be men and women, because there are abusers on both sides of the genders. We need to educate girls that it's okay to be the whistleblower and speak up and demand that you be treated well. To me, a big part of the whole issue is a lack of respect. A lack of respect in relationships. When I'm out and about, I hear people, couples speaking to each other in such a terrible manner, belittling, abusing, screaming, putting them down. If you have respect for someone, you don't behave like that. So we can teach both men and women when they're in a relationship to leave the table when respect is no longer being served. To educate girls about the red flags, about grooming, about being put down, so that they recognise the term that's come up recently that I've not heard before was coercive control, and I posted a video about this the other day. To recognise the signs and know when you start being isolated, and don't worry, I love you so much, darling, I don't want you to mix with anyone else. That's not because he loves you. That's because he wants control. Oh, we won't go and see your family because they're trying to put us apart. No, he's isolating you. When he starts telling you what you can wear, where can you go? To be ringing you every half hour to see where you are. To be controlling and taking over finance. And it's only a short step from there to the push, the shove, and the abuse. It's a sad story, and it's a sad episode to be speaking like this. But I want to know what we can do, and I want to be a support to anyone else who can be out there, to be a voice and to stand up and say, yes, I've been through it and I've recovered and here I am. It's possible to get past it. You don't have to stay stuck in it. If you're stuck in it right now, I know that's difficult, and it's very difficult to be able to get out of it because you will be constrained on so many levels. And I think COVID brought this to the fore even more, because people who are normally at work, so they don't see each other all day, come evening, well, they're there 24 hours a day. And in doing that, and with job losses and lack of financial security, it's a melting pot for tempers to fray, and unattended and unchecked, it can lead to abuse. So how can we have people show respect to each other? How can we educate our young people about the respect, about the tools, about how we're there to support each other? Because if we do that, and we do it with kindness, respect and empathy, then we are really going to be able to make changes in society and to call people out when they step out of line. Say, that really is not acceptable behaviour. And if you do that at the beginning of a relationship, if something happens, say, that is not acceptable to me. And when you can say that, and if it doesn't change, get out. Get out while you can. Don't wait for it to escalate so that it becomes so much more difficult later. And don't have a mistaken belief, oh, he's doing it because he loves me. No, he's doing it for power play. It's important that people have a safe space to be able to go to speak up. Do we need some particular branch of the police force or law enforcement where rape victims can go? Maybe there is one. If there is, I'm not aware of it. Change happens when a person takes responsibility for themselves, knowing what's not right and having the skills to be empowered and empower other people. How do I know this? How do I know? And why do I feel so strongly about it? Yeah. Because I grew up in a violent alcoholic household. I was a victim of rape as a teenager. And a lot of things happened in my early life that I'm not proud of. But I did them because of my lack of self-worth and my lack of respect for myself, which then flowed out to other people. So let's start a movement. Let's be positive. Let's be supportive. Let's be respectful, kind, and caring. And I think that's a big part of moving forward. As for sexual assault in higher places, I don't know what it will take to bring men to the point to understand that that's not acceptable behaviour from those who are meant to be the highest in the land and to be setting the example, the very fabric of our society. It's not happening. So let's just be together. It's not about the blaming and the shaming. It's about what can we do to move forward. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. But for me, it starts with respect, loving, caring, being there for other people, and educating our future generations about having respect for themselves, for their partner, for their families, and to flow over into society. That's it for today. If you'd like to know more, pop over to my website, diaryriddell.com, and you will find a plethora of information there about confidence, about speaking up, speaking out. My book, Speak Out, is on the book, funnily enough, under the book tab, and there we are. It has, from suppression to expression in 9 vital steps. My voice was suppressed for years. When we look at it, and it's all about strategies, action steps, and stories. We all love stories. So if that would appeal to you, if you know someone who can benefit from that, please do contact me. I'd love to hear from you. Cheerio, till next time.